Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ask the Expert on Intuitive Webinars with Microsoft Teams. We hope you had a chance to tune into Lars Johnson and Christina Tarek's feature session earlier today on this topic, as this is the follow-up Q&A session. If you missed it, it will be replayed at 2:30 a.m. later tonight or tomorrow, Wednesday, Pacific time. Thank you in advance for adhering to the Microsoft Event Code of Conduct shown on your screen, as well as posted in the chat window. In this session, you can engage with speakers by posting your questions in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. You can also use the like button to indicate your favorite questions. Please be patient with us as we'll try to get to as many questions as we can in the half an hour that we have with you. And as fast as they come in, we'll try to answer them as fast as we can. This session will be recorded and posted to the Ignite website after the event, so no need to record on your own. And we do have a great panel of Microsoft Teams experts, as well as our MVP community members to answer your questions tonight. And it will be moderated by Christina and Lydia. So now I will turn it over to Christina.
Thanks, Paulette. So for those of you that did not see the session earlier, here's a little teaser at what you missed if you want to join in a little bit later. So we had a very entertaining session, but some quick highlights, some features that we are going to be bringing to Teams include a lot of capabilities that are going to enable you to deliver webinars. One of the first that we announced was really around custom registration and email confirmation when somebody registers. On top of that, attendee reporting. So you can download a report and understand who joined, how long they stayed, and how they engaged. And then some controls that are associated with large-scale meetings and webinars, like muting all of your attendees, having their video shut off by default. And we also announced that you're going to be able to use a webinar to host 1,000 people in an interactive session. And then once you start to have more than 1,000 people, you'll seamlessly go into a view-only broadcast scenario for up to 10,000 people. And until the end of this year, we're actually increasing that to 20,000 due to the fact that we are all still remote. And lastly, before we just jump into questions, I want to share that we also have some new exciting integrations into Dynamics 365 marketing. So with that, you can go ahead and after you host a webinar in Teams, you're able to integrate directly into Dynamics, and you can start campaigns right from there to continue nurturing your contacts and build your CRM database. And with that, I want to go ahead and hand it over to Lydia, who is going to be moderating the rest of the session.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Christina, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. Let's dive into those exciting questions. The first one, Christina, hopefully you can address. Which are the licenses will include the webinar capability that just got announced at Ignite? And what about the users that are other license types, such as OE1 or F1? Can they attend the webinars?
Yeah, good question. So the webinar capabilities are going to be available in our enterprise SKUs 3 and 5, also in the education SKUs A3 and A5. And we're going to include webinar capabilities in our SMB plans for Business Premium and Business Standard for up to 300 people in the SMB SKUs. So that scale will pertain to the EDU and Enterprise. Additionally, we will be bringing these capabilities to our government SKUs.
Great, thank you. And the follow-up question is around whether you need a Teams license or Teams MSA, you can host a webinar. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. So webinars are really built to engage any audience inside your company, outside your company. And so somebody joining is not dependent on if they have a license or which license they have. It's strictly for the host and the organizer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Second question coming from the window is around Dynamics and Teams integration. Without using Dynamics, is there a registration function for Teams webinars instead of inviting users ahead of time by name?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and start the answer and then hand it over to Lisa, who is our Dynamics expert. But in short, the value of the Dynamics integration is not the actual webinar itself. Teams capabilities will include registration pages, attendee reporting, and all of this outside of Dynamics. But Lisa, would you like to elaborate a little bit on kind of the value of bringing those two things together?
Yeah, so we're seeing a complete platform here of Dynamics 365 and Teams integrated. The Dynamics 365 marketing application allows you to do that ongoing nurturing and communications after the event. So what we're seeing in the webinar capability here is that automated, that an email will go out to say, join the webinar. But if you want to then nurture people through a journey after that and ongoing communications, marketing automation, that's all fully what Dynamics 365 marketing can do. And so we've got this lovely seamless, integration between these two pieces now to take it even further into full nurture and customer journeys.
Great, thank you, Lisa. There's a question about live events and Teams meetings regarding the guidance on when should we use Teams meetings versus live events. Given the experience on hosting a lot of events, I wonder if John, if you can give us some of the feedback on or the guidance on how to leverage Teams platform to host great events.
Sure. I noticed that question in the chat, and I think if I were scheduling something for April, I certainly wouldn't be concerned about live events going away anytime soon, certainly not in April of this year. Whenever you're deciding between a live event and a meeting, or now the new webinar capabilities, it's really around, in my opinion, around the level of interactivity that you want. Do you want an open or moderated chat, or do you want everything to be through the moderated Q&A like we're doing tonight? Do you want people to have the ability to raise their hand so that you can allow them to unmute and ask a question verbally? Those are some of the capabilities that you get in a meeting that you can add on the registration to make it a webinar. If you're doing a live event, it's a much more structured type of an event with a moderated Q&A. Your chat that's part of the meeting is a back channel just for the presenters and the producers. So I would kind of weigh those options when you're thinking live event versus meeting, but I certainly wouldn't be concerned about it going away anytime in the immediate future.
Great. Thank you, John. So there's a question about will there be a moderated Q&A option for the Teams meeting like there is for live events? Can Sam answer those questions?
Yes, there will be. That is definitely something in the pipeline that we're working on right now, and will hopefully be coming out in the very short term. So yes, that is coming. Great,
thank you. And there are a couple questions about the panelists and how many of the attendees can be shown on the screen at the same time. Could you answer that question as well, Sam?
Sure. Think of webinars as no different than it is built on top of the meetings infrastructure, right? And so yes, you can have any number of people that are in your that are listed as presenters that you can have shown within your webinar. Depending on how you want to configure it, though, but yeah, you can have more than one person shown. Emma, if you want to add more to that, feel free. Well,
sounds good. The only thing I will add is that we're also adding the capabilities to have multiple spotlight users. So you'll see that also coming on our roadmap pretty soon.
Great, thank you, Sam and Emma. There's another question about the attendance report. it is possible to disable the attendance report. Is that a feature that will be enabled in the Teams once we have the attendance report?
Emma, do you
I
want to
can
take that?
answer
You can
that.
talk about that. Yeah.
Yes, I can answer that. Yes, it is possible to disable the attendance report via policy in the IT admin dashboard.
Thank you. So lots of questions coming in. I wonder, there are some questions about production capability within live events and Teams. I wonder if, John, you can share some of your tips and the best practice when to host a great event on Teams in terms of leveraging some of the capabilities on live events.
Sure, I can speak to that. Where was the question on that? So I have a little bit of context. Do we have a question you could read back? Sorry.
Yeah, it's already gone through. So it's pretty much about live events and Teams capabilities and regarding the production features.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of production capabilities built into the Teams client when you're doing a live event. You can choose to have someone on screen next to the presentation, like you're seeing right now. You can have both up at the same time without waiting for the custom layouts to come or the dynamic view that's coming out this month. There's a little bit more capabilities whenever you switch to doing RTMP, and you can leverage something called Teams NDI within any Teams meeting. It has to be enabled by your IT administrator through a Teams policy, but if that's enabled, you have the ability to grab any of the video feeds from a normal Teams meeting. Then you can mix those together in video switching software like OBS Studio or something like that, like vMix, to create a more branded and customized experience where you can move people around on the screen, crop down their images, things like that. And that's actually part of any Teams meeting if you want to use that for the back end.
Sounds great. Appreciate the tips. There's one question about, can there be co-hosts in the events or the webinar capability? And can the organizer leave and hand off the hosting to a co-host? I wonder if, Emma, you could answer this question.
Yeah, so that's something that definitely we are starting to think about. So today, a lot of the functionalities a presenter has within a Teams meeting, and so you'll see that commonly throughout the webinar space as well. And so as we evolve our presenter capability as well, you know, that'll be enhanced within the functionality and the permissions also available.
Sounds great. Thank you. There's a question around branding. Will branding be available for webinars?
Emma, do you want?
Yeah, Emma, would you want to take that?
Yeah. Yes. So yes, you will have the ability to upload a branding banner and image on your registration page. So we know branding is definitely top of mind for our customers, and so we wanted to make sure that we provided an out-of-box branding experience as well to make sure that that image is portrayed throughout the registration experience.
Great. Thank you for all the questions coming in. I'm really scrolling across different pages to see if there's any questions we're missing. There's one about how do you consider interactive, especially in the interactive meeting for 1,000 attendees. Christina, do you want to take that? Maybe we can also extend the question a little bit on what a user experience is going to be looking like if the meeting beyond 1,000 people.
Yeah, so the way to kind of think about an interactive webinar is all of the capabilities that you get today within a meeting. So the ability to raise your hand, to use chat, to be able to use reactions and things like that. Those are all going to be available for up to 1,000 people. And then, of course, in addition to that, when you have 1,000 people, controls like everybody joining on mute, video off for everybody, those kind of things are also important. But that's really what we mean when we say interactive. And then once the webinar starts to grow, once it starts to grow past 1,000, that's when the attendees that join will go into a view-only broadcast. And so that means that they can still join and listen and participate. By default, they will be on mute, their video will be off. Similar to the live events experience when you're attendee and you join here. And until the end of this year, I think I mentioned at the top of the hour, until the end of this year, we're actually going to extend this to 20,000 attendees with the significant amount of people still working remote. It's been a big ask from our customers.
Great, thank you, Christina. There's related a question coming in. Will the limitation for the concurrent live events per tenant fall? Currently, I think based of the offer for the pandemic, we are doing 50 events per tenant. Is there any update that you could share with this audience?
Yeah, I can share. We are doing away with the concurrency restrictions. I think, you know, previously we've had those, and we are at a point where we don't feel like it's necessary any longer to put the limits in place. And so if you're thinking about live events or webinar capabilities, you can host as many as you need to host at the same time.
Great, thank you. One question coming in about for Teams in general, but webinars in particular, will the amount of resources team uses on the client ever be controlled? Could I ask Emma to answer this question?
Sure, sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I fully understood it.
Yeah, for Teams in general, but webinars in particular, will the amount of the resources team uses on a client ever be controlled? Reading between the lines, I think maybe some of the concerns regarding the meeting capability and the scalability of the event.
Okay, Christina, maybe you're the best person to answer that in terms of scale. Oh, Sam, go ahead.
Just to clarify, so that question can be taken in multiple different manners. If it's talking about resources in terms of the client, in terms of how much resources the client is taking up in terms of it's bogging down the system, or it's a resource hog on CPU and RAM and that kind of stuff. There's definitely work going on within Teams to improve the performance within our client side, and that will definitely be happening. If this is talking about functionalities, like, hey, I want different functionalities available to attendees or for a webinar or something like that. We kind of touched on it before in terms of if you're an attendee within a webinar, you will, the host will have more control over what an attendee can do or whatnot, right? So I'm not too sure which way that question was going, but if it was talking specifically around the client in terms of its performance within the desktop, within the machine, then that is definitely something in general for Teams that we are working on to make that a much better experience for everybody.
Thank you, Sam. So there are a couple of questions regarding timing. When are the features that they got announced are going to be available to all of our users? Christina, would you like to take that?
Yes, I will take that. So the capabilities that we've been talking about today for webinar are going to start rolling out this month, and will continue to roll out through April. And what that means is some of these features are a little bit different with the way that we roll them out and when they're going to be ready. For example, scale versus registration versus attendee reporting all have slightly different timing. And so I can say, though, that I know that we are starting to roll those out this month. And I would probably guide folks to the public roadmap, and we can put a link in the Q&A if we haven't already. But the public roadmap will be the best place where you can track some of the individual features to determine when they're going to start showing up in your tenant.
Great, thank you. And one question coming in regarding the attendee experience. If the attendees exceed 1,000 on a webinar, does it automatically becomes a live event? Would that be something you could answer, Christina?
Yeah, I could, or Sam or Emma, do you want to take that one?
I can grab it real quick. So just the Christina kind of already talked about it before, right? But basically it isn't the whole thing doesn't just turn into a live event once you go over 1,000 people. The first 1,000 people will still be in what will be like a regular webinar meeting kind of / session, and everyone will be interactive and whatnot. And that will be experience will not change for those 1,000 people, even if we have 1,001 or 2,000 or 5,000 people, right? It's the people that join after the first 1,000 that will have a slightly different experience, because they will be in what we call the overflow experience, in which case now there are more in a listening only kind of experience, which will be more similar to what you're seeing within live events. But yes, the whole thing in general doesn't switch to a live event just because you went over 1,000.
Great, thank you, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
A question about managing the breakout rooms. Will it be possible for co-presenters to manage breakout rooms? We have admin who organize meetings for other people. It's a great question on the breakout room in the large size events. I don't know, Sam, is that something you could answer, or Emma?
So it's a little bit outside of the webinar thing, but I don't have any answers right now in terms of whether or not we're going to be doing that. But I don't know if you've heard anything about the breakout room side, if they're going to allow that.
I know the webinars, the breakout room space is definitely evolving to meet, the scenario needs as we scale the scenario needs across teams and teams meetings and webinars. And so I think there is ongoing work there in terms of, providing additional functionalities and support to enable and disable breakout rooms. I'm not sure on the specific roadmap and timeline of that, but I know that's definitely on the cards and being discussed.
Great, thank you, Emma. One question about the account. I think we talked about this, but there's a follow-up question around, are personal Microsoft accounts of free tier eligible to signing into Teams desktop app? From my findings, I have only been able to use the browser version. Is this, Christina, could you respond to this question?
Sorry, I was just trying to find that in the chat. Could you ask it one more time, please?
Sure. Are the personal Microsoft accounts of the free tier eligible to sign into the Teams desktop app? From my findings, I have only been able to use the browser version.
I'm not sure on that one. I might ask Lars if he knows on that, but I do know if you're holding a meeting or a webinar or an event, you don't have to have any license whatsoever to be able to join and participate. Lars, do you know if you have I believe a free license, if you can download the desktop client, or if you can only access Teams through the browser?
It's through the browser. Yep.
Great, thank you. One question about the live captioning. Will the live captioning still work in the webinar?
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. One question regarding the attendees and the naming. Is there an option to display the name of whoever is speaking? Like right now in this webinar, I don't really know who's who. Emma, would you like to take that, or?
Yeah, sure. So within Teams meetings, you will be able to see the contact card associated with each speaker. So you will be able to see names, and as we, evolve, we might even, think about additional functionalities there. But you will be able to see who and the name of each speaker for sure.
Awesome. A question about the streaming and broadcasting capability. Is there any possibility to stream a video from other sources like YouTube, and a host can control when to play or pause the video so all attendants are in sync what they are seeing? I think it's talked a little bit to the control and the host in the webinar setup. Christina or Emma, would you like to take that?
Yeah, I guess I would look at Sam and Emma to help respond to the amount of controls that we're putting into the webinars.
So I'll just add real quick, and then I'll pass it off to Emma in case she wants to add anything else on this one, right? But in general, if you're talking about being able to have basically the ability to broadcast out a feed from a separate video source like YouTube or some other video hosting site or whatnot, that is in the roads, something that we are definitely working to get embedded inside of webinars. It's not available right now, but you can still use, as we've always had in the past, like your screen sharing VBSS, and you can just share that as that's always been capable. And so, Emma, is there anything else you want to add on to that?
I think that pretty much covers it in terms of what we're looking to do right immediately and on the roadmap.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and the question coming regarding 1,000 people interactive meeting. Is there a way to manage who are the first 1,000 attendees on the webinar when the invite list goes beyond 1,000? Meaning I want a specific audience to be able to have two-way interaction, but not the rest. Is there a level of control that we are providing in the current GA feature yet? Emma, would you like to take that? Or Sam, yeah.
I was just gonna say I'm not aware of one, but I'll see if Emma knows of one.
So I believe that there is room within the 1,000 people limit that is reserved for example, presenters, to make sure the presenters always join in the 1,000 people. But beyond that, I don't believe that there's any additional capabilities or controls that is in place at the moment.
Yeah.
Great. We have 2 minutes left. One last question about one cool feature that we usually use in the in-person seminar. Will there at any point be go to the mic type of functionality built in the webinar capability?
Emma, do you want to take that? I think that's a passion project of yours.
So you will be able to, for example, raise your hand and be able to leverage the raise hand functionality in order to indicate that you have a question that you would like to ask live. And then presenters and organizers can actually manage who can speak and give permissions associated with that. So that's one of the kind of leveraging powers of the interactivity model that we're following. And so yes, you will be able to bring those attendees on stage and be able to allow them to ask a question and feel empowered to ask a question live on stage.
Great. Thank you so much. Last question regarding the ecdn solutions. Are ecdn solutions third-party primarily also available for Teams webinar?
Not right now. Not yet. I can think of that one. It is something we are definitely yeah, it definitely it's something we were looking at, but it's not yet supported within Teams webinar.
Great. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. Christina, is there anything you want to close off with this session with all the attendees?
No, just, yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for the great questions. If we did not get to your question, we also have this session with a live Q&A happening in just a couple hours. So please feel free to join, and you can see Lars as a news anchor, which was very entertaining. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.